live stream to propagate through the internet to all of you beautiful viewers at home. Live stream number 51 coming to you live. Let me just go ahead and pull this up. I am streaming on LinkedIn today, which I actually stopped doing for a little while. And I am streaming to LinkedIn again here just to test this out. And so thank you for joining. Feel free to drop any questions or comments in the LinkedIn chat, and I will respond to you in real time. So with no further ado, we got our first comment from Slava, or at work. Not sure exactly what you mean there. Slava, feel free to clarify what you mean by that comment. But one of the things I wanted to talk about in this stream is networking. So this is actually something we talked about recently on a Mage Talk episode. We were talking about mental health, and a number of people were talking about the got to have good posture here. A number of people were talking about the anxiety that you feel when you're going to conferences. And so I've gone to a good chunk of conferences in my day and wanted to talk a little bit about some tips and some tricks. So first up, taking actually a step back and looking at the decision of, do you even have to go to conferences in the first place? Because for a lot of people, conferences can be a really difficult. You know, we talked again on the recent Mage Talk with Philip and Rebecca, you know, both people who have gone to a number of conferences and are, you know, comfortable going to conferences, relatively speaking. And yet we all had a lot of pain points around that, right? And so if you're just starting to go to conferences, can definitely be a really awkward experience. And so, you know, the first thing to think about is, if you don't want to go to conferences, you really don't have to. I mean, unless like it's your job, like if you're a salesperson, it's your job, then it's your job. But I'm mostly talking to like developers and things like that. And so, you know, there's lots of different ways to build your career, to build your network, to build your like profile professionally that don't necessarily involve going to conferences. And so that's one thing before you start thinking about, how do I, you know, do the conference thing? That's the first thing to think about. You know, for example, maybe you want to post on Stack Overflow, right? Maybe you want to answer questions on Stack Overflow. That's a great way to build up your profile, to build up your skill set. There's tons of ways to do it online, right? Like LinkedIn, like you could do you could do video online, you know. And interestingly enough, like doing video is so much different than networking in person with people. It's a different thing, but there's tons of ways to do it. So don't feel like you have to go to conferences. Now, if you want to, but it's still difficult, then that's what I'm going to talk about here in a second. I think I got a clarification of the question. Oh, okay. So Slava says, you said everybody who joined from home, and I'm saying from work as well. What are the best Magento conferences besides Magento Imagine? So that's a good question. I mean, it's a little hard to say. It depends where you're located. There's a lot of cool stuff in Europe. There's a lot of cool unconferences in Europe. There's Mage Titans, started in the UK and has gone to a bunch of different places. There are, you know, your local city-based meetups. So, I mean, when you say that, what are the best events or conferences, it's a little tricky to answer what that means exactly. If you mean what are the highest profile events, you know, basically that'll be obvious as you look at the events, you know, the ones with the highest production value and the official Magento, like Magento Live Europe just happened. Those are the higher profile events. I think that, you know, but at the same time, like when if you attend a small meetup, right? Like let's say it's a small local meetup. If you're able to connect with people that you enjoy spending time with and you can learn from, that's really all that matters at the end of the day, you know? I mean, also there's other factors, of course. You want to depending on what your goals are, if you want to get leads, if you want to grow your business, grow your freelance work, or get job opportunities, then you might want to go to larger events and things like that. But depending on what you're looking for, I guess that's really the way to answer is it depends on what you're looking to get out of the event. But thanks for that question. So then the next thing I wanted to talk about is, assuming that you're going to go to some events and you're going to deal with some discomfort, here's what I would recommend that you do, is basically to have a system for yourself that you're going to follow consistently and realize it's going to take time. Like, most likely that first event you go to is going to be kind of awkward. You're not going to know a lot of people. You're going to have more awkward moments than not awkward moments. One of the things I've found is that going to events consistently over time, multiple years in a row, gets you to the point where you know people at the events, you feel a lot more comfortable, and generally the experience goes better. But you have to just be aware of that going into it, that like you're going to have to put in some time, right? It's funny because I've gone to a bunch of Magento events. And whenever I go to a Magento event now, I immediately know people at the events and things like that. And it's just a lot easier. But having moved to Austin and going to some different Austin meetups that are not Magento related, I don't know anybody. And it's like I'm starting from ground zero again and feeling what that feels like to start from ground zero, not knowing anybody, and having to kind of break the ground from the beginning. So it's definitely hard. What I mean by going into it with a system is, let's say you say to yourself, look, I'm going to go introduce myself. I'm going to say hi to, give yourself a number, right? 3 people, 5 people, right? Let's say you pick the number 5. So you're going to approach 5 people and go into it knowing that it might not be the greatest interaction in the world, right? But just give yourself that commitment. And then, count it up and do those 5 reps, so to speak, of introducing yourself. And then once you're done with that, you can kind of give yourself permission to check out. And if you want to leave, let's say it's an all-day conference and there's nighttime events. If you don't want to go to the nighttime events, don't go, right? Give yourself that freedom, that permission that, hey, I put in what I was going to commit to, and I'm going to give myself permission to sort of be lazy and, go into my cocoon and not socialize. Versus like if you do have one interaction that's awkward and then you just like give up entirely for the rest of the day, like that's not quite as optimum as giving yourself, let's say those 5 interactions. So give yourself something to commit to, push through that. Once you've pushed through that, you put that effort in, give yourself permission to do whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable doing. And then within each of those interactions, just have some simple things that you do. Like it's really simple to actually just ask people questions. I think one of the mistakes that people can tend to make when they go to a conference, you've spent the money to get there. You have some goals to get there. Maybe you want to get some business. Maybe you want to get a job. Maybe you want to get some leads. And then maybe you kind of go a little bit overboard in kind of selling yourself. And I'm always a fan of just more so just kind of asking people questions, getting to know people. I find that's a better way in general to engage with people, to connect, really to network with people, is just to be curious, just to ask questions. So when you walk up to somebody and it's like, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Where do you work? And then they'll ask you where you work. And then, oh, what do you do there? Right? Literally give yourself a list of questions, right? The first one, obviously, how's it going? What kind of work do you do? And then just give yourself like a couple of simple questions that you can ask each of these 5 people, right? How long you've been working there? It's really, really basic. But what happens when you're meeting people for the first time is you feel awkward. Your voice is awkward. Everything's awkward. You get flustered. You don't know what to say next, kind of a thing. So just give yourself that little roadmap of those short list of basic questions. And then, as you're talking more, see if you can just ask more questions. People generally love to talk about themselves. So just asking people questions, being inquisitive is a great way to connect with people. And then, like I said in the beginning, like sometimes you can go a little too overboard in selling yourself. On the flip side, it's always a good sign if you're asking somebody questions and then they ask you a question and then they go, oh, so what do you do? Da, 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 right? That's your opportunity to tell them more about yourself, tell them more about what you do when they're asking. And that's when you're doing kind of a good job of just building rapport with them. Let me see if I got anything else in the chat. Oh, Ray. Yeah, nice. Thanks, Ray Bogman, Pacman principal. So what Ray's talking about, this is something I want to say that Sherry Rohde had talked about one of her talks. The idea of a Pacman principle is when you're at a conference, and when you're like socializing, whatever, in the hallway track, you'll find that you'll tend to form little groups of people that are talking, right? So maybe there's 5 people or 4 people, and you tend to form like in a circle, right? And then when people are walking by and, let's say people, they kind of want to join in on the conversation, but if it's like a closed circle, then they won't really feel comfortable, especially if they don't know you. And so one of the things that's good to do instead of forming a closed circle is to do more of like a Pac-Man where you have like an opening, right? So that's just a good habit. Like if you find yourself at a conference, in order to be welcoming to newcomers, make that Pac-Man opening so that somebody can slip into your circle and connect. So that's a great rule of thumb. I think is a great thing to do. So, So yeah, that's pretty much it. Go into it with the system, go into it with some goals, make your goals not super duper duper ambitious, right? Like just putting in the time, not only going to one conference, but going to several of them over a period of time. I think you'll see results. It's going to be awkward. Go into it expecting that. Don't get totally thrown off by that awkward interaction. But instead be like, okay, that wasn't super fantastic, but I went with my system. I went with my plan, and now I'm going to do my second, one here. And then you'll start to see things will kind of get better. Another great thing to have happen at a conference is when you get introduced to somebody else. It's always so much better as opposed to, again, trying to sell yourself to some person you don't even know. It's so much better if somebody else introduces you, right? So I've had that happen a number of times where somebody says, oh, I'm looking to hire a Magento developer. And they go, oh, you got to meet Kaylin. And then they come introduce you. It's a warm introduction. It's fantastic, right? So if that happens, that's great. But another thing I think would be really smart to do, I haven't really done this myself, but I think this would be a smart thing to do. And I think somebody mentioned this on the recent live stream, is to ask the people to introduce you to somebody else. So let's say that you only know 1 or 2 people, right? Just be like, hey, could you introduce me to like somebody, like literally just ask them to introduce you to like one person. And that's another one of those things that just will make the interaction go so much more smoothly. And you maybe want to only ask someone to introduce you if you know them somewhat well. Like if you just met somebody, you probably don't want to ask them to introduce you. But yeah, I think that'd be a good little technique to use. So, I think that's all I got on the topic of networking. See if I got any more comments in here. This is for again from Slava. Is today's topic about conferences? I have off the topic question. What's the best way to get prepared for a Magento solution specialist? Yeah, so that one I don't have a great answer to. I'm not a solution specialist myself personally, but I know that there's more and more great training content out there for solution specialists. I'm sure if you Google that, you'll find some resources. I'm not coming to mind right now with what those resources are, but there's more and more good content being put out by people on how to prepare for the certification exams and things like that. So I'll point you to that. And get into the weeds from Ray. Okay, not sure what that means exactly. So actually, that's all I have on the topic of networking. Oh yeah, Ray mentions Magento U. Yeah, definitely check out Magento U. Actually, Ray is probably a great person to talk to about about this topic in general. So maybe if you ping him, he can hook you up. Swift Otter has been putting out a ton of great content related to certifications. I was trying to remember if they did solution specialist. I know they do a lot of developer stuff, but it sounds like they probably do solution specialist stuff as well. So you can check them out. That is actually it on the topic of networking. I'm going to pivot into a couple of other topics. Feel free to stick around. I'm going to give some feedback on some landing pages, and I'm going to talk about some other random stuff. So feel free to stick around. If you only wanted to come here for the conference-related stuff, that's cool. You can dip out now. I'm going to actually reposition here for my screen share view. There we go. So I usually do a number of different topics on the live stream. I usually do kind of a smattering of different topics. And so I'm jumping into some other stuff here, some non-Magento stuff. All right, this is fun. All right, so next up, I wanted to actually give some feedback on some landing pages here on Indie Hackers. So I'm going to just try to go through as many of these as I can. All right, careermove.io. So first off, I've got this sign up that's, I kind of want to close it, but I'm not sure how to close it because I just want to see the content. So that's a little odd. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. How do I close this, man? How do I close it? Okay, so I guess that's my first piece of feedback. I might be doing something really dumb, but I'm not sure how to close this thing. So it's going to be hard to give feedback. Let me zoom out a little bit. So I'm not really sure so far what the site does. From interviewing to get a job offer took me Oh, also one thing I'm going to check real quick is I want to check to see if my thing is live. Okay, cool. Cool. All right. So yeah, I'm not really understanding what's going on here, to be honest. Maybe the desktop view would be a little more straightforward, but I don't know what the site does. Sorry about that. Not super insightful feedback on that. All right, next up, Chrome extensions for YouTube users. Actually gave some feedback on this in a recent stream. Hyperranks.com. Let's check this out. Don't let Google changes hurt your SEO. Receive a notification every time Google introduces changes to its algorithm. Okay, that sounds helpful. This single notification could have prevented me from losing 50% of my organic traffic. Ouch. Man, Google changes are so brutal, I have to say. September 2019, Google introduced one of many. So this is a very persuasive graph, by the way. Great job on that. This has me like interested as somebody that has a business that depends on some Google organic traffic. This could happen to you. All right. Driving that fear home. Be the first to know. Save money. Traffic equals money. Eliminate guesswork. Is this a free service? Yes. There's no credit card checkouts. No. So why is this a free service? Yes. Okay. Got it. So the monetization here is that you'll offer SEO consultancy to people who need. So the notification tells people when things change. And then hopefully if they want to implement changes, they'll reach out to you to get that work done. So I think, again, I think it's great. I think it's nice and simple. You put in your email, you get notified. Boom. It's very simple value prop. I feel like what I'd like to see is some more productization of a service here where, like, you know, if the only option I have once I know there are issues is to reach out to you manually to get consulting, that's a good option. But like if you had some productized services here where, you know, you could have some great pricing on some basic services, and then you could go the consultancy route for any more advanced stuff that needs to get done, I think that would be interesting. But overall, pretty solid. All right, next up, Feedcast.me. Our mission is to help people discover podcasts about startups. Cool. Podcast discovery is something I'm interested in and something I've talked a little bit about. Feedcast. So we don't have a logo yet. Tired of asking for podcast suggestions? We recommend episodes based on your interests. Okay. Why are we the best app to discover podcasts about startups? I almost wish it was not specific to startups, but that's cool. Curated list of best podcast channels about startups. We talked with more than 100 founders. Episode recommendations instead of channel recs. Okay, so you're recommending individual episodes. That's cool. That's helpful. Hundreds of founders using the app. Minor thing here, but line spacing on here is a bit too big. I discovered the Pitch podcast. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so I don't understand exactly how it works. I guess it's okay, so it's an app. Is it okay, so I wonder if it's a podcast player, or I guess it just gives recommendations. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, I find myself wanting to check that out. Obviously, I'd have to do that on my phone. But that looks pretty interesting. I like that. Curious how you're monetizing. But yeah, good stuff. We would like to hear remoteleaf.com. Oh, shoot. MageHost. Is this a Magento thing? I usually don't see too much Magento overlap with the indie hackers community. So that's cool to see. Let me see. See what this is. I got to know. Premium e-commerce hosting. Cool. Nice. All right, I'll pull that one up next. Remote Leaf. Handpicked remote jobs delivered to your inbox daily, weekly. Cool. Remote Leaf, you will receive personalized remote jobs based on location from the advertising or clickbait. Nice. And then it's a $10 a month. Cool. So it's a simple thing. It's not advertising based. So I'm as a job seeker, I'm going to pay for that and get some quality jobs. Great screenshot here. Elon Musk is funny. Elon Musk is never going to be looking for developer jobs for himself. On your behalf, we go through a bunch of job boards. That's cool. I love it. Select categories. It's great. Now, if there's a way that you could get people started for free, I think that would be really smart. If there's a way that you could, I do like the idea of like, hey, look, if you want to use the service, you got to pay for it. You guys need to monetize this in order to make it sustainable. But if you can give people a little bit of a taste test for free, that always makes it so much easier for people to try you out. So, and maybe you do have a free trial. I'm not exactly sure, but based on the wording here, it looks like there isn't. So maybe they could get their first email for free, their first month for free, something like that would be cool. But yeah, this looks really useful. Okay, MageHost next. So I know a thing or two about Magento hosting. MageHost, premium e-commerce hosting, powered by AWS. So nice design, cool logo, cool name. We'll give you Magento help and love. Okay, so video looks interesting. I can't watch this here on my live stream though, so I'm not going to be able to watch that. Our platform is especially created from the ground up. That's just a minor, little bit of a nitpick, but things like that, like when you can tell that something is, and I'm usually not really big into like typos and stuff like that, but things like that makes it feel like it's not native English. So that's just one thing. It has built-in caching, global CDNs. Users get lightning fast. Get a lightning fast experience. So these are just little nitpicks, but now I'm wondering where you guys are located. So I'm scrolling to the bottom, and Walnut, California. Cool. All right, so now I'm even more curious. Want to know who's behind this. See if I know you guys. Wow, cool. 1,000 happy customers. Dang. Now I'm like, how did I not know you guys? This is wild. Chicago's Pizza. Cool. Oh, nice. The obstacle is the path. It reminds me of the book The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Really cool book that I enjoyed quite a bit. Okay, so I don't know who. I'm curious to know who the team is. I don't recognize any of y'all. Not seeing any names here, but cool pictures and stuff. Anywho, don't see a phone number either. I don't think I saw a phone number. Did I see a phone number? I don't think I saw a phone number. So there you go. There's a phone number. Now that's an international phone number, so I don't think you're based in. Wait. 707-244. Oh no. That's a local phone number. What's the matter with me? I just got confused because of the +1. Cool. Okay. Very cool. All right. So no more downside AWS. So now I'm curious to understand a little bit more of a fine-grained detail what it is you guys do differently. So there's a lot of Magento built on AWS. There's MageMojo Stratus. There's Akuva. So now I'm curious to know what, at the technical level, what is it that makes you different? And I'm not quite seeing that. I see the pricing and some of the specs. But as far as what makes your platform different, I guess that's the next thing I'm curious about. So anyways, that is the feedback I have for you. Okay, jobs-uae.com. A lot of job boards. And I am in the job space myself, so this is definitely a space that has been picking up steam. Join the fastest growing companies in UAE, hub for technology and innovation. And UAE is an interesting market. I've seen some traction in UAE for Commerce Hero. All right, so the UI looks a little basic. This looks cool, but this looks a little bit basic. This is a neat interaction here where you're auto completing that, kind of prompting people to type some stuff in. Sales, marketing, bartender. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. So it's not just tech jobs. DevOps and bartender. Like, when's the last time you saw DevOps and bartender in the same list? That's cool. Accounts executive. So these listings feel like they need some more detail, like maybe a snippet of a description on them, maybe some tags. Let me click into one of these. Okay, and I can't click. I probably want to be able to click on the whole box, but okay, apply for this job, and that's going to probably take me off site. Yep, okay. That makes sense. Other jobs at Kingston Stanley. Okay, so these are related jobs. UI feels like it used some massaging here. In general, the UI, there's some uniqueness to your UI, which is cool. But then there's also some ways in which I think it could use some massaging. Spacing here is a little random, things like that. What else? McDonald's, cool. All right. Okay, so that is the feedback I have for you there. Interesting site. Adsoft. Let's check this out. I'm probably not going to be able to get through all of these. What's WeScribe? Hey, that's me. Would you look at that? I kind of want to just pick some domains that look interesting. Okay. Adsoft. Works. We create beautiful and functional websites for individuals and businesses. Okay, so website about who we are and why we do what we do. Okay, kind of a cool UI. Logos overlapping a bit here. These little boxes are kind of overlapping a bit. I like this typography though, and the color scheme is neat. We are Adsoft. We guide businesses in this rapidly changing digital world. We are a team of developers. Okay, feels a little bit generic. Interested in working with us, send us a message. Okay, so the page is pretty light. It doesn't really differentiate what makes you guys unique in the headline. I'd try to figure out what that is that really makes you unique, and pop that in there. All right, next up, WeScribe. This looks cool. Keep your mentors client in the loop. WeScribe helps team leaders keep everyone on the same page about the details that matter most. Sounds interesting. I find myself wondering like what types of teams we're talking about and things like that. Conversion rate test results. Our conversion rate optimization just when you do request form 2 months. Okay. So this is like for a marketer to communicate the results of a test sort of to their team. That seems cool. And then people can give reactions. That seems cool. Curate updates that bring together key metrics. Okay, I like that. Updates made easy. Curate beautifully clear and concise updates on a consistent basis. This is really smart. I like this. It's sort of like instead of people manually sending emails left and right to different people, you're giving them a central place to sort of post updates, and then you're encouraging them to, again, make clear, concise updates that are tied to KPIs, which everybody sort of knows they should be doing, but systematizing this for people, I think, is really valuable. Templates is really valuable, right? Like I'm imagining this as a template. Great way for people to share the results of their conversion rate optimization tests. Side-by-side updates. This is cool. This is really smart. And so you've got press releases. You've got updates for teams and departments. Co-working spaces. Okay, co-working spaces. That's cool. Keep them updated on things. Okay, product release notes, company announcements, investor updates, board of directors, client projects. Yeah, really smart. I like this. The name WeScribe, I thought this was going to have to do with writing or content creation. So I don't quite get the name, but it's a cool name. Just doesn't seem related to the actual product, but cool product. I like it. All right. I am going to scroll and randomly pick something based off of the domain. Okay, so justfitness.io caught my attention. I'm a big fan of IO domains, and I've been trying to be more fitness minded. So let's see what we got here. Personal fitness tracking made easy. Just Fitness is designed to help you manage and monitor your fitness goals and progress. Desired to be notified. Okay, so little light on details, right? So what I'm wondering is how is this different from, what you'd get on a smartwatch, what you'd get through different things. And then it's just sort of an initial landing page. So not too much information there. But cool domain. Maybe I'll look for one more. Okay, Stock Blaster. This one got me. That's a cool domain. Stock Blaster. Upload stock videos. Okay, I thought it was related to stocks, like buying and selling stocks. Upload stock videos once, sell everywhere. Okay, so it makes it easier for you to sell your stock videos. I didn't realize that was a thing. I mean, I didn't realize. It makes sense that if you're selling stock videos or maybe even stock photos, there's probably a bunch of different marketplaces that you want to upload to, and they handle that for you. So that sounds cool. I didn't even realize this was like a niche. I didn't realize this was a need. So that's interesting. Stock Blaster makes selling stock videos a breeze by eliminating the repetitive work. Upload your things. So now I'm wondering what the pricing is. No monthly fees. How it works. So what's the pricing? Yes, you don't mention pricing. Register page, a little plain. So I guess that's my feedback there, is what people are going to want to know what the pricing is. Okay, I think that's all I got for you today. Oh, man. Whew. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And, oh, wow, 36 minutes. We've been going strong for a while here. Whew. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a fantastic Friday, and I'll see you tomorrow.